We filmed this Golf MK8 R earlier this year. It made pretty impressive power out of a standard car. Well, today we're back, and we'd have to say this is the first tunable MK8 in Australia, and what has to be the most powerful yet. No, I want to redo that. I think you need to do it. Alex, I just tried to do an intro and it was a disaster. I might let you take care of this.
I'll do it for you. How about that?
Yep, go for it.
So here we are, back at Underground Performance. 4 months later, this car made impressive power standard. The ECU is now tunable. The guys at Underground Performance have done it. We're making some good power. It's the first tuned MK8 R in Australia, and also the most powerful.
Alex, we had the car on the dyno 4 months ago in stock trim, and it made around the 200 kilowatt mark. Impressive power for a stock car.
So we've all been waiting for access to program the ECU. And the issue that we've had is that because it's so new architecture, CAN locks, multiple reasons, we haven't been able to do that. There's a few tuning tools on the market that have alluded to releasing that. And one came forward quite recently to say that they would do an early release, which we jumped on, so we had to sign up to that. And yeah, on the stroke of 9 AM French time, we got access to be able to identify, read, and now write. So the trick was to have the car on the dyno, have it ready, do a quick stop run, check everything's okay, read out the ECU and the gearbox, and start working on it and come up with a calibration. So we already had a really good idea of the areas that we needed to change, because it does have some relation to the old platform.
Yeah. And this is full custom calibration.
Yeah, we did, in a very short space of time, we did probably 15 revisions last night. And you're not just going to put everything in straight away, because you could damage a component or hit a limiter or something. So it was about making small changes and incrementally getting to where we think the car was making power naturally without any limitations. So yeah, it took a little bit of time. We did that. I think there's more left with refinement over time, but where we want to be, and the point of this now is to ensure that the car's making power, everything looks okay in the logs, but it also drives well. And part of that is sometimes taking a step back and going, okay, yeah, it can make 1.9, 2 bar of boost, but what effect does that have on the drivability? What effect does it have on the top end? So now what we're doing, after making about 240 kilowatts last night up from 200, with a little bit of room to spare, we're saying, right, okay, we went straight out on the road, we drove it, noticed some things we wanted to change in the power delivery, how the pedal felt, gearbox, make those changes, soften it out, and then now we're back on the dyno to see if it's still making power after those changes. And so this will happen cyclically. I think over time there's plenty on the table. I think the conversation you and I had before is, you know, when can we put ethanol in it? How much room have we got in the injectors? How happy is it? Yeah, look, there is that performance on the table. We do have customers, you know, knocking down our door saying, you know, can I tune my new Golf R? Can I tune my new Tiguan R, my RT on there? All sharing the same ECU, and that's a great thing about the Volkswagen Audi group, is that a lot of the infrastructure architecture is the same. When we first got the car and we drove it, the shifts at part throttle felt really slow, and when we got into the software we could actually see that it's intentional. They've really slowed the shifts down, maybe for smoothness, maybe for longevity, but with some simple changes we can increase that engagement speed. We remove the torque limiters. Pressure maps we haven't really touched on yet. We just want to make sure that there's nice communication between the engine and gearbox, and like descaling is not going to work. Like, you know, we're just going to slip the clutches. Volkswagens and Audis don't like that, so we've got to keep everything correct And yeah, look, for the changes that we made post the session last night, I was driving it around this morning, a couple of quick tests, it feels really, really good. Now we have to back that up.
But more importantly, you got your Pops and Crackles tune. You know your market, Alex.
I'm not saying it was top of my list, but you know, we had to adjust the impulse maps a little bit to get it to do that. It was quite muted from factory, even with the cap back on it. So we just tickled that map a little bit, and it sounds really, really good. It's not obtrusive.
Alex, that's no substitute for our Jodian pointer.
I know, I was looking for something fun to put on the end, but it's just going to be a magnet for now.
So the number one question the comment section is going to ask is, how much boost is in that, man?
How much boost? Well, we can log it properly, which is really good. Stock we saw 2021, which is quite high for a factory calibration, but we found that these vehicles didn't actually have as much timing as we expected them to have. So even though the Golf 8 R is sold worldwide, this is a rest of world version. So no OPF, but they turn them down just a hair, maybe fuel quality or...
Quality Australian fuel.
That's it, the sulfur content. America get these, South Africa, Australia, and a number of other regions. So that's what we've got to work with. No OPF, which is great, but it seemed to be led by boost rather than by ignition timing. The turbos are known to be stronger than the previous generation. So we could explore it a little bit, and it was making, when we asked it to, on this high boost map, as much as 1.8 bar as early as 2500.
Yeah, wow.
It just comes on really hard, and we can hold it almost as long as we want. We haven't tried to hold it hard right at the top end because there's so much gas velocity.
The bottom end components love big boost down low. Don't they?
Yeah, especially the bearings. But yeah, so I think we've got the option of playing with the boost a lot. What's right? Sure, we could run, hell, we could maybe run 2 bar, but what's that going to do on a stage 1 stock hardware vehicle to the top end? So I think it's about playing with what's right from a drivability, but also a heat transfer perspective. So yeah, this is probably 1.8, 1.9 bar here. Then we've brought it down, we're trying 1.6 bar and then up to 1.8 and trying to hold that, coming down to about 1.5, 1.6 bar at red line.
So the green line is factory
stock,
calibration.
Stock torque, stock power, and then this is where we're kind of playing with some different variations. So at the moment, yeah, we can make power. These ones drive really well. We did discover after we tuned the car last night that the standard pedal maps are very, very aggressive, which is fine if you're on lower boost at stock. But as soon as you put 1.8 bar through it, it can surge. So we've fixed those maps now, but we haven't raised the boost again. It's continued development. It will take some time. Want to keep the gearbox happy. Want to keep all the torque communication correct. So we're trying to get factory drivability. I think it's easy to make power on these. I think 250 on standard hardware is not out of the question. I don't think we need to go there yet because we've got so much that we need to kind of get right and smooth out. But right now, it's about getting it right and then slow steps forward.
Knowing you, Alex, though, this stock turbo is not going to stay on for too long.
Well, we'll see. Like, there aren't many options out there, but if you can get, with all the bolt-ons, 260, maybe with some different fuel, 270, 280 kilowatt at the wheels.
That would keep most owners happy, wouldn't it?
That'd be so quick. And yeah, standard turbo. So we don't know yet. It's going to take time. People are going to find the limits and damage things. I'd rather do it on this than a customer car. but if we can avoid it, we'll keep it in one piece and yeah, maybe throw some bits at it. But yeah, it's very early days at the moment, but it drives mint. I'm really, really happy with the power delivery. It feels really, really crisp. All the bits that were missing from the standard car, where you'd accelerate and it would plateau, now it climbs. And that's what I think has been missing from this. It has felt very capable, but very dulled down. So I think we're getting there now.
Fun times. Hey, by the way, I'm digging the new wheels.
Thank you. These are from a company called New Speed, supplied to us by Evans from BLK Motorsport. He's in Melbourne. This is the second set I've had, and I thought I'd rock the bronze.
Yeah.
Maybe like a Subaru colour, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know, white's pretty good. White's pretty good. You can put pretty much any coloured wheel on your car.
I know, white's for people who don't have imagination. That's why I've got 3 white cars. But I tell you what, you don't get bored of white. So one other thing to note about our high torque map, 490 newtons at the wheels, and that's up from about 350. So we usually see that off the previous generation with a load of bolt-ons on the car. We've stopped at 240, that's the safe zone. There is more on the table. No doubt, as people get their hands on them, we'll see these numbers climb. So we're really, really excited. We're mostly excited to be the first, so watch the space. I don't think there's anything exciting going on. I'm just trying to make it not look as pedestrian.